family criticized my modest lifestyle. They're in debt, and I'm debt-free with $500,000 saved in the bank now. My sister is standing in my parents' kitchen, waving a glossy department store bag like a flag, laughing so hard she can barely get the words out, and my mom is doing that sharp little giggle she does when she's trying to keep things light. "Look," my sister says, shaking the bag so the tissue paper crackles. "I brought her a present. A real present. Not something from her little bargain cave." Everyone looks at me like I'm supposed to smile and take the joke. My dad's leaning against the counter with his arms crossed, nodding like he's the referee of this whole thing. "You could afford nice things if you stopped living like a student," he says, and he says it with that tone like he's giving me advice, not taking a swing. I'm holding a container of homemade lasagna because I came straight from my place, and my hands are actually trembling around the plastic lid. I can feel my throat tighten, not because I'm about to cry, but because I'm fighting the instinct to snap. My brother-in-law whistles and goes, still driving that little car, and my nephew pipes up, and he drives the old car, and everyone laughs like it's adorable. Then my mom looks at my lasagna and goes, "Oh, you didn't bring wine?" Like I've committed a social crime. I open my mouth to say something normal like, "Hi, good to see you," but my sister steps closer and lowers her voice in that fake whisper way that still carries. "Just admit it," she says, smiling wide. "You're cheap." She turns to the room. She's cheap, right? Like, she could be living in a nice place, but she chooses whatever this is. My dad adds, "It's not healthy, always saying no to yourself." And my mom, who I've defended in my head 1,000 times, says, "We worry you'll regret it. You're not 20 anymore." The heat in my face rises so fast it's like someone opened an oven door. I glance toward the living room where my nieces are sprawled on the couch with their phones, and I catch my aunt peeking around the doorway, already tuned in for drama. My sister sets the bag on the table and nudges it toward me with her fingertips. "Open it," she says. "Maybe it'll inspire you." It was a Saturday night, and I'd promised myself I'd only stay for an hour. That's the thing with my family. I have to go in with a plan, like it's a job interview, or I'll leave feeling like I've been chewed up. I'm 34, single, no kids, decent job, and somehow that still makes me the family project. I don't live like them. I don't spend like them. I don't post photos of dinners that cost more than my weekly groceries. And for years, they've treated my choices like a quirky phase I'll grow out of, like I'm pretending to be minimalist the way teenagers pretend to be punk. The reality is I'm not making a statement. I'm trying to sleep at night without the feeling that one unexpected bill will ruin my life. The part they never seem to understand is that I didn't become like this because I'm joyless. I became like this because I watched what money does to people who treat it like a mood. I watched my parents fight about surprises on the credit card statement. I watched my dad buy things to feel better and then punish all of us when the bill arrived. I watched my mom say, "It's fine," while her eyes were red from crying in the laundry. When I moved out, I promised myself I wouldn't live inside that cycle. My sister, Kira, went the opposite way. She's 2 years older than me, and she's always been the one who needs the room to look at her. When she got her first job, she bought a brand new car before she'd even finished probation. She posted pictures of the steering, well, like it was a diamond ring. She married Mark, who is charming in a very loud way, and their whole life became a performance. The renovated kitchen, the matching gym outfits, the spontaneous weekend trips that always happen to be documented perfectly. They're not bad people. They're just allergic to restraint. And when you don't join them, it reads as judgment, even if you never say a word. I used to try to explain. I used to say things like, "I'm saving for a home," or "I'm focusing on paying down debt," even though I didn't have any debt. I used to talk about long-term goals like if I presented it in corporate language, they'd respect it. But they never heard it as a goal. They heard it as an insult. Like I was implying they weren't responsible, which, to be fair, they aren't, but I wasn't the one saying it out loud. The cheap jokes started small. I'd show up to a family dinner with a homemade dessert, and Kira would say, "Of course you made it yourself," like it was pathetic. I'd mention I got a coat secondhand, and my mom would say, "You know you don't have to do that," in the same tone you use when you see someone eating off the floor. My dad would make comments about my car, like it was an embarrassment to the family. "When are you going to upgrade?" he'd ask while standing next to his own car that he refinanced twice because he kept trading in early and rolling the negative balance into the next loan like it was normal. Meanwhile, my life was fine. My apartment is small but clean. My furniture doesn't match because I bought it over time, slowly, and I actually like it. I don't have granite benches. I have a table I got off Marketplace that I sanded down myself. I make coffee at home. I bring lunch to work. I track my spending like it's a game, not because I'm obsessed, but because it gives me a weird sense of peace. When I go on holidays, I go because I want to, not because I need to post proof that I'm living. And quietly, over the years, the numbers added up. I didn't wake up one day with $500,000 in the bank because I cut out avocado toast or whatever people love to joke about. I got there because I was consistent. I got there because I didn't inflate my life every time I got a raise. I got there because I built habits when I was bored and lonely and everyone else was spending money to feel busy and loved. I got there because I was willing to be slightly uncomfortable now so future me could breathe. But my family didn't see that. They saw a small apartment, an older car, no diseño, and they assumed that meant I was failing. So when I walked into my parents' house that Saturday with my container of lasagna, I was already braced for the usual comments. I just didn't know it would turn into that, because the bag Kira shoved toward me wasn't just a joke. It was bait. It was part of the setup for what they really wanted. I didn't realize it until later when the conversation swerved. I opened the bag because refusing would have created a whole other scene, and inside was a leather wallet. Nice. Expensive. The kind of thing Kira buys like at a fun little treat. She watched my face like she was waiting for gratitude to prove her point. See, she said, feel that. That's quality. That's what you're missing. It's nice, I said because it was and because I didn't want to fight. My dad nodded like I'd just admitted something important. You deserve nice things, he said. You work hard. Stop acting like you're punished. My mom put her hand on my arm and gave me that look she gives when she wants me to just cooperate. It's okay to enjoy life, she said softly. The thing is, I do enjoy life. I enjoy it in ways they don't understand. I enjoy leaving the grocery store without dread. I enjoy seeing my account balance and not feeling like I'm stepping off a cliff. I enjoy being able to say yes to a friend's birthday dinner without doing mental gymnastics. I enjoy not flinching when my car makes a noise because I have savings for repairs. I enjoy not checking my phone with fear, but I didn't say all that. I just smiled and thanked my sister. Dinner started. Everyone talked over each other. Kira showed photos of their little bathroom remodel. Mark talked about a new Uda he was considering like it was a necessity. My dad bragged about a deal he got on a TV that's bigger than my entire wall. My mom kept topping up everyone's plates like feeding us was the only way she knew to keep us together. Then, halfway through, Kira's tone changed. It was subtle, but I noticed because I'm used to monitoring the room. She leaned in toward my mom and said, So, should we tell her? My mom's hand froze mid-serve. My dad cleared his throat. Yeah, he said. We should. I felt my stomach drop before anyone even spoke. That body instinct you get when your nervous system has learned what family announcements really mean. Kira put her elbows on the table and smiled at me like we were conspirators. Okay, she said, don't freak out. My brother, Sam, who had been quiet most of the night, suddenly sat up straighter. His eyes flicked to me, then away, like he already knew. What? I asked, and my voice sounded too sharp. Mark rubbed his hands together, nervous energy. It's just a tough season, he said. My dad said, Your sister and Mark have had some setbacks. Kira rolled her eyes like it was annoying to admit. We're fine, she said quickly. It's just, we need a bridge. A bridge, I repeated, and my heart started pounding harder. My mom finally set the serving spoon down. They're behind, she said, on a few things. Kira laughed too loud. Okay, don't make it sound like we're in prison. It's just cost of living, you know? And the renovation went over. And interest rates are insane. Mark added, and my commission's been weird. My dad nodded gravely like he was the one suffering. They're at risk of losing the house, he said, just bluntly, like he was throwing a rock into the middle of the table. Silence hit. Even the kids sensed it. One of my nieces paused her chewing. My own hands went cold on my fork. Kira reached across the table and touched my wrist, her nails perfectly manicured. "But you," she said, eyes bright, "you're so good with money. You always have cash. You live so modestly. You probably have heaps saved." There it was. The reason for the wallet. The reason for the "you deserve nice things" speeches. The reason they'd been softening me up like I was a target. My mouth went dry. "What are you asking me?" I said. My dad jumped in quickly, like he'd rehearsed it. "Just a loan," he said. "Temporary. You be helping your sister keep her home. Family helps family." My mom's eyes were begging. Kira squeezed my wrist slightly. "We're not talking crazy," she said. "Just enough to catch up, and then we'll pay you back." Obviously, my brother stared at his plate like it was fascinating. That made my dread worse, because Sam is the one who says things when something is wrong. If he was quiet, it meant he'd already spoken up and been ignored. "How much?" I asked, and my voice didn't sound like mine. Kira hesitated, then said 30,000. I repeated, because my brain needed the full horror. Mark nodded quickly. 30, yeah. Just to cover arrears and fees, and then we can refinance. We got a plan. I sat there staring at them. The room felt too warm. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel in my fingertips. $52,000. After years of being mocked for not spending. After years of being told my life was sad. After years of them treating my choices like a weird little hobby. And the worst part was that I did have it. Not because I'm rich. Because I'd built a life where I could handle emergencies. Kira watched my face like she was trying to calculate how to push. "We wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious," she said softly. My dad added, "This is what savings are for. This is why you saved. To help your family." That sentence landed like a slap. Like my money was a family resource, not mine. Like my sacrifices were just preparation for their crisis. I looked at my mom. "Did you know?" I asked quietly. Her eyes filled. "They told us last week," she whispered. "And you didn't tell me." I said, the words tasting bitter. My dad snapped, "Don't make this about you." I almost laughed. Of course. Of course, the moment I react, it becomes me being dramatic. Kira's voice sharpened. "You always do this," she said. "You always make it weird. We're asking for help, not your lecture." "I'm not lecturing," I said, and I could hear my own voice shaking. "I'm processing. 30,000 is not small." Mark leaned forward, palms up, performing sincerity. "We'll pay it back," he repeated. "We could do a repayment plan." My dad said, "You could draw up a contract if you want. Just don't let pride stop you from doing the right thing." Pride. Like it was pride that made me cook at home and drive an old car. Like it was pride that made me build a buffer so I wouldn't end up exactly where they were. My brother finally spoke, voice low. "They already asked me," he said, and it came out with a quiet bitterness that cut through the room. Everyone froze. Kira shot him a look. "Sam," she hissed. He shrugged, eyes still on his plate. "You did," he said. "And when I said no, you said I was selfish." Mark's face flushed. "We were stressed," he muttered. Sam lifted his eyes to mine. "They're not going to pay you back," he said softly, like he hated being the one to say it, but couldn't let me walk into it blind. "They're drowning." Kira slammed her fork down. "Oh my God," she snapped. "Why are you like this?" My mom whispered, "Please don't fight." My dad's voice rose. "Sam, shut up. This is between your sister and—" "No," I said, surprising myself with how steady it sounded. "It's not." Everyone looked at me again. I set my fork down carefully because my hands were shaking. "I need to understand," I said, and I looked directly at Kira. "How did you get here?" Kira's eyes flashed. "Excuse me?" "I'm not asking to shame you," I said, though maybe part of me was. "I'm asking because you just renovated. You just went to that resort. You just bought those new lounge chairs. You just—" "Don't audit my life," she snapped, cheeks blotchy now. My dad leaned forward like he was about to intimidate me back in a line. "This is not the time for your spreadsheet attitude," he said. I looked at him. "You've called me cheap for years," I said quietly. "You've told people I live like I'm broke. And now you're telling me my savings are for you." My mom started crying, silent tears slipping down her face. That always gets me. It always makes me want to fix things. Kira softened her voice again, the way she does when she wants something. You don't understand, she said. It's different when you have kids. It's different when you're building a life. Histoire de hair. I'm building a life, I said. I just don't decorate it with debt. The air went electric. Mark's expression hardened. My dad inhaled sharply like I'd insulted God. Kira hissed. There it is. The judgment. I'm not judging you, I said. Now I could feel tears pushing up, hot and angry. I'm tired of being the family punchline until you need something. My dad slapped his palm on the table. Enough, he snapped. You're being selfish. This is your sister. She could lose her house. And if I give you 30,000, I said, voice trembling, what happens next time? My dad scoffed. There won't be a next time. Sam snorted. That tiny sound said everything. Kira's eyes went cold. So you're saying no, she said, and it wasn't a question. It was a threat wrapped in calm. I looked around the table. At my mom crying. At my dad furious. At Kira waiting to label me the villain. At Mark staring like I'd just insulted his masculinity. At my nieces suddenly very quiet, sensing that adults were about to turn ugly. My chest felt tight. My throat burned. I felt that old familiar pressure. Keep the peace, keep the peace, keep the peace. It's been trained into me. And then I thought my own life. My small apartment. My plain furniture. My homemade lasagna. My quiet evenings where I don't wake up and panic about bills. The years of being careful. The times I said no to things I wanted because I was building something invisible. The way they laughed at me for it. And I realized, if I handed them 30,000, it wouldn't just be money. It would be confirmation that the way they treated me didn't matter, because I'd still show up when they called. So I took a breath and said, no. My mom made a broken sound, like a quiet sob caught in her chest. My dad's face turned a shade darker. Kira blinked, stunned for a second, like she couldn't compute the word. What, she said. I'm not giving you $30,000, I said, voice steadier now, because once the line is crossed, you can't uncross it. I'm sorry you're in trouble. I'm not your solution. Kira's mouth twisted. Wow, she said. Wow. So you really are like this. Mark leaned back and muttered, unbelievable. My dad pointed at me like I was a child. You have money, he said, loud, as if volume could turn my no into yes. You're sitting on money while your sister is drowning. I swallowed. I'm not sitting on money, I said. I'm saving for my future. For stability. For a home. For what? Kira snicked. You don't even have kids. What future? Your future is you in that tiny apartment eating lentils alone. The words hit harder than I expected. Not because they were accurate, but because she knew exactly where to stab. She knew the parts of my life that are tender. My face went hot again. Okay, I said, and my voice went quiet in a way that made everyone pause. This is why. What? She barked. This, I repeated. This is why I don't blend my finances with this family. You don't respect me. You don't even like me when you're not asking me for something. My dad stood up, chair scraping. Get out, he snapped. If you're going to talk like that, get out. My mom gasped, no, please. Sam stood up too, slowly, like he'd had enough. Dad, he said, warning. But my dad's eyes were fixed on me like I betrayed him personally. You think you're better than us, he said. I took my container of lasagna and held it to my chest like armor. I don't think I'm better, I said. I'm not going to be dragged down because you refuse to change. Kira's voice rose, sharp and shaky. You have 500,000, she spat, and everyone froze because she'd said the number out loud like it was proof of a crime. My stomach dropped. My eyes snapped to my mom. My mom looked away, crying harder now. She'd told her, or Kira had guessed. Either way, my private life had been turned into family gossip. My dad's expression shifted. Something greedy behind the anger. 500, he repeated, like he was tasting it. My skin crawled. It's not. I started, then stopped because explaining would only feed it. They didn't need details. They didn't need access. The moment they knew a number, it became theirs in their minds. Kira crossed her arms. So you're saying no with that sitting there, she said, voice dripping. You're really going to let us lose the house. I'm not letting you lose anything, I said, voice shaking now. Not with guilt, with fury. Your choices are doing that. And I'm not your emergency fund. Mark scoffed. Must be nice, he muttered. I looked at him. It is, I said quietly, and I meant it, and I hated that it had to come out that way. It's nice to sleep at night. My dad took a step toward me. You will regret this, he said, voice low and dangerous. Family is all you have. That line used to work on me. It used to make me fold. Because the fear of being alone is powerful when your family is loud enough to convince you that you need them. But standing there, holding my lasagna like a shield, I realized something brutal. Family isn't supposed to feel like a hostage situation. I'm leaving, I said. My mom reached for me, tears streaming. Please, she whispered. Just think about it. I looked at her, and my heart ached because I know she's trapped in the middle. I know she's terrified of conflict. I know she wants everyone okay. But I also know she watched them mock me for years and didn't stop it. She let it happen because it was easier than confronting my dad and my sister. I have thought about it, I said softly. For years. I walked out while Kira called after me, fine. Don't come crying to us when you're old and alone. And my dad muttered something about ungrateful children, and my mom cried like I died. I sat in my car with my hands on the steering wheel, and I shook. Not cute trembling, full body shaking, like my nervous system was dumping years of swallowed anger out of my limbs. I didn't sleep that night. My phone buzzed nonstop. Kira texted paragraphs. Mark left a voicemail where he tried to sound calm, but ended up sounding threatening. My dad sent one message. Disgusting. My mom sent about 20 please call me texts. Sam sent one. Proud of you. Don't cave. The next morning, I woke up with that familiar urge to fix it, to offer something, to negotiate, to find a middle ground so everyone would stop being mad. It's a reflex. I made coffee and stared at my bank app like it was a loaded weapon. I could solve their problem. I could transfer money and make the yelling stop. I could buy silence. And then I thought about what would happen after the transfer. Because there's always an after. They'd forget the repayment plan. They'd ask for more. Kira would still call me cheap. My dad would still talk down to me. They'd still treat my life like it was incomplete. And now they'd also feel entitled to my money, because once you open the door, people like that don't step back out. They move in. So I did something I'd never done before. I didn't respond right away. 2 days later, Sam came over. He sat at my little mismatched table, drinking my coffee, looking tired. They're panicking, he said. I nodded. I figured. He rubbed his face. Dad's telling everyone you're selfish, he said. Kira's saying you're hoarding money like a dragon. I almost laughed, but it came out as a tired exhale. Of course. Sam looked at me carefully. Don't tell the numbers anymore, he said. If they know you have it, they'll never stop. I didn't tell them, I said, and my voice cracked with betrayal. Mum must have. Samizmaotaitant. Mum tells Kira everything, he said quietly. You know that. I stared at my coffee. I thought. At least this, I didn't finish because the grief of realizing your privacy isn't respected by the people who claim to love you is hard to put into words. Sam leaned forward. Listen, he said, if you want to help with boundaries. Offer to pay for a financial counselor. Offer to look at their budget. But don't give cash. Cash disappears. I nodded slowly because that was the only option that felt even remotely fair to my own principles. I wasn't a monster. I didn't want my niece and nephew to lose their home. I just didn't want to be used. So I called my mom. My hand shook while it rang. She answered immediately, voice raw. Well, thank God, she sobbed. Mom, I said softly, I'm not giving Kira money. She cried harder. She'll lose the house, she whispered. I know, I said, but I can't be the bailout. I can offer a different kind of help. There was a pause. What help? She asked, voice cautious. I'll pay for a financial counselor, I said. A real one, not a random friend. I'll sit down with them and go through numbers with a professional. I'll help them make a plan, but I'm not transferring $30,000. My mom sniffed. They'll be offended, she said, like that was the biggest danger. I closed my eyes. They're already offended, I said. They're offended that I said no. They're offended that my life looks different. They're offended that consequences exist. My mom whispered, your father says you're punishing them. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm protecting myself. A week later, Kira finally agreed to meet me. At a cafe, public, because we're both the kind of people who behave better when there are witnesses. She showed up wearing sunglasses like a celebrity, avoiding paparazzi. Mark wasn't there, which was a relief. She sat down and didn't even order anything, just stared at me like I owed her. "So," she said, voice flat, "you're really doing this?" I kept my hands on the table so she could see I wasn't trembling. "I offered to pay for a financial counselor," I said. "That's not nothing." Kira left coldly. "You want to humiliate us," she said. "You want to sit there while someone tells us we're irresponsible." "I want you to keep your house," I said. "And I want you to stop bleeding." Kira leaned forward. "Just admit it," she said. "You like that you have money. You like looking down on us." My jaw tightened. "I don't look down on you," I said. "I'm just not going to set myself on fire to keep you warm." She rolled her eyes. "There it is. Your little therapy phrases." I exhaled slowly. "Kira," I said, and my voice softened despite myself. "I've been mocked for years. You call me cheap. You've made jokes about my car, my apartment, my clothes. You've told people I'm sad. And now you want me to hand over $30,000 like none of that happened." Kira's expression flickered, just for a second, like something inside her recognized the truth. Then it hardened again. "Because family," she said sharply. "Because you don't leave family behind." "Then why did you spend years trying to make me feel small?" I asked quietly. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her fingers tapped the table fast, nervous. "I was joking," she muttered. "It didn't feel like joking," I said. She looked away, jaw tight. "Whatever," she snapped. "So what? You're going to sit there with your $500,000 and watch us suffer?" "I'm not watching," I said. "I'm offering help that actually changes something." Kira scoffed. "No," she said. "You're offering a lecture." I sat back. The cafe smelled like burnt espresso and warm pastries. A couple at the next table laughed softly. Life went on around us like this conversation wasn't ripping something open inside me. "Okay," I said finally. "Then I can help." Kira's eyes flashed. "So that's it," she said. "You're choosing money over your family." I swallowed. "I'm choosing myself," I said, and my voice shook, but I didn't take it back. "Because nobody else in this family ever does." Kira stared at me like she hated me. Then she stood up so abruptly her chair scraped loudly. "Don't come to me when you need something," she said. I looked up at her. "I won't," I said quietly. She stormed out. People glanced. I sat there, hands clenched, throat burning, and waited until my body stopped shaking enough to drive home. Here's what happened next. In a messy, real way stories like this go, they didn't immediately learn a lesson. They didn't have a dramatic epiphany. They scrambled. They begged. They fought. They blamed me to anyone who would listen. My dad called relatives and told them I was cold. My aunt texted me Bible verses about generosity. My mom stayed in the middle, crying, asking me to reconsider, then whispering, "I understand," like she didn't want to admit it out loud. And then, because consequences don't care about pride, Kira and Mark did what they should have done months earlier. They sold things. They listed the fancy lounge chairs. They canceled a trip. They refinanced in a way that actually lowered their payment instead of stretching their debt into the future. Mark picked up extra shifts. Kira went back to work full-time instead of part-time because balance, which was always a luxury they couldn't afford. It was ugly. It was stressful. It was humiliating for them. But it was real. They didn't thank me for forcing that. They never will. But I noticed something. The joke stopped. Not because they respected me suddenly, but because now my modest lifestyle had proof attached to it. It wasn't just a quirk. It was a strategy that worked. My dad still doesn't like it. He still throws little comments when he can. "Must be nice," he'll say, or "some people think money is everything." But his tone has changed. Less confident. Like he can't fully sell the old story anymore. My mom and I are strained. I love her. I do. But I've put her on an information diet. She doesn't know my account balance anymore. She doesn't know my investment plans. She doesn't get to carry my privacy into Kira's mouth. It hurts because it feels like losing intimacy with my own mother. But it also feels like breathing. And me? I still live in my small place. I still drive my old car. I still cook at home most nights. I still buy things secondhand when I want to. I still say no to stuff I don't need. I still have my $500,000 saved. More now, because time keeps working when you don't sabotage it with panic spending. And sometimes, late at night, I think about how close I came to handing over $30,000 just to stop being the villain in their story. But here's the thing I'm learning the hard way. If someone needs you to hurt yourself in order to feel like you love them, they don't want love. They want control. I'm not asking if I'm right in some moral, perfect way. I know the internet loves to turn these things into simple verdicts. I'm asking because it still messes with my head that the same choices they mocked me for are the only reason they thought I could save them. That my discipline became their emergency exit. That my sad little life became their safety net. And I'm trying to sit with this reality. I can love my family and still refuse to fund their denial. I can be kind without being used. I can be generous without becoming their plan. I just wish it didn't cost me so much peace to say a word as simple as no.